Welcome Ramley, how are my Rams super fans doing today? Today we're talking about what went wrong this season for the Rams and how can they fix it and compete next season. Let's get right into it. Now really quickly, before we get into what went wrong for the Rams this year, I know I haven't uploaded in a very long time. A few of you guys even reached out to me and asked where I've been. Everything's been fine. I just been taking a break. I don't really do this for money. I don't do it for attention. I do it because I love the Rams and I have fun doing this. And this season, guys, like you all know, just hasn't been fun. And I found myself repeating the same things over and over again, week in and week out. And I figured taking a break would be better than me just making bad, repetitive videos. So I did just that. But don't worry, guys, I still watched every single game and I haven't missed a single play this season. And I'll definitely be uploading more often going forward. But enough of that. Let's talk about what went wrong for the defending Super Bowl champions this season. Yes, we are still the defending Super Bowl champions until February. The biggest problem this team faced was injuries. We could place the blame on a number of different things, but injuries should definitely be number one on everyone's list. The two most important positions in all of football is the quarterback and the people that protect the quarterback. And no team has started more quarterbacks or offensive lineman combinations than the Rams. The Rams started Matthew Stafford, John Wolford, Bryce Perkins, and Baker Mayfield. And the offensive line combinations are just way too much for me to name off right now. I believe the Rams broke a record for having 11 different offensive line combinations in the first 12 weeks of the season, and the O-line has changed several times after that. Even healthier, our offensive line wasn't as good as it was last season, but by being completely decimated by injuries, we never really stood a chance. And it gets a lot deeper than just the quarterback and the lineman position. Aaron Donald, the best defender in football, missed 6 games this year. Jordan Fuller missed 16. Troy Hill missed 5 games, David Long missed 5, A'Shawn Robinson 7, Jacoby Durant 4 games. All of these are starters who missed big chunks of the season on defense. And on offense, our Super Bowl winning quarterback missed 7 games. Our Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp missed 8 games. 8 games is basically half the season. Van Jefferson missed 6. Ben Skoranek missed 3 games, and of course everyone on our offensive line, from the starters to the second string to the third string, missed several games. The Rams were literally plucking offensive linemen off of other teams' practice squad and starting them the same week. I don't know if any team could have overcame that many injuries. But don't get me wrong, injuries may have been the biggest issue, but there were several more, and they started way before these injuries took place. As much as we all praise Les Snead in that front office for everything they do, this past offseason they made quite a few bad decisions. Before I get into that, I do want to point out the one great decision they made, and that was bringing in Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner was probably the best player on this team all season long. The only one that was consistently good and never missed a game. Some people weren't as thrilled with the Bobby Wagner pickup because of his age, but man, that worked out tremendously, and I'm very happy that he'll still be a Ram next year because we signed him for 2. But that was the one positive amongst quite a few bad decisions this front office made this offseason. The Rams lost their star left tackle Andrew Whitworth to retirement, and they let right guard Austin Corbett walk in free agency. Now things like that happen, but instead of finding free agent replacements, they just had that next man up mentality and promoted backups Joe Noteboom and Coleman Shelton to the starting lineup. What was more concerning was once the Rams promoted these backup O-linemen to starters, it completely destroyed our depth along the offensive line. And the only thing the Rams did to help was draft a late 3rd round rookie Logan Brush, who would go on to tear his ACL in the preseason. And I know what you're gonna say, Nick, you can't predict injuries. But in the case of Joe Noteboom, you can. And I did. I said several times before the season started that Joe Noteboom won't make it through the whole season because he misses time every single year as a backup tackle. There's no way his body can hold up 17 games. And sure enough, by week 7, Noteboom is out for the year. If I could see that coming a mile away, why didn't the Rams front office? I was screaming all off season that what scared me the most was the depth along this offensive line. Now, I had no idea that we were going to get this banged up. Nobody did. But I don't think this offensive line could sustain one injury. That's something that has to be addressed this upcoming year. Another poor decision in the offseason was giving Allen Robinson $15 million a year. I think we can all agree that that was a mistake. Now, I can't lie. At the time, I was over the moon about this pickup. I thought it would be great. but that clearly wasn't the case. I don't know if Allen Robinson is washed up, if Matthew Stafford is partially to blame for not getting him more involved and targeting Cooper Kupp 15 times a game, or is Sean McVay to blame for not being more creative with his play calling and getting Allen Robinson in the proper position to make plays. Honestly, guys, I'm really not sure. But if I had to guess, I think it's safe to say that it's probably a mixture of all three. Allen Robinson's contract almost guarantees that he'll be a Ram next season, so they better figure it out in the offseason, or we're going to be in for a long ride. Another mistake by this front office this offseason was letting Von Miller walk and not replacing him. Now, I understand the logic behind it. Seeing that in 2021, the Rams led the league in sacks before adding Von Miller in the middle of the season. You would think, if Von Miller leaves, we'll be fine. But me and many Rams fans like me were screaming for a replacement. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, Zadarius Smith, Melvin Ingram, honestly anyone. A replacement never came, and the Rams pass rush was the worst I've seen it be in years, way before the Jeff Fisher era. You mix all of these offseason missteps and a ton of injuries, and you get a 5-12 team. Now, as bad as this season has been, I think there's a few things that this team can do to be right back into Super Bowl contention next season. And it starts with retooling this offensive line. I would like to see 2 to 3 new linemen brought in during the offseason. We need to attack our offensive line the same way the Bengals did this past year. Now, the Bengals went on to pick 3 offensive linemen in free agency, including left tackle Lael Collins. They also drafted another offensive lineman in the 4th round. That's how you attack a major issue in the offseason. And I really hope the Rams follow suit. If we go into next year with Joe Noteboom as our starting left tackle, we are going to be in trouble. I'll address exactly who I like to pick up in free agency in a later video this offseason. Not only do we need better protection for Stafford, but we also need an offensive line that can do a better job at opening up holes in the running game. Now, speaking of the running game, even though Cam Akers has shown a lot of promise at the end of this season, I still think the Rams should bring in another running back to complement Akers. Cam Akers finished the season with over 100 yards on the ground in his last 3 games of the year, and 5 yards per carry on his last 4 games. And honestly, guys, from the eye test, these last 4 games, he was actually making defenders miss. That's something we haven't seen all year. It's pretty amazing seeing how Akers struggled so much in the beginning of the year, then stopped playing, and was on the verge of getting cut or traded before turning it around. Honestly, it's a really good story. I'm very happy for Cam. It seems like the further he gets away from that Achilles injury, the better he gets. Hopefully he could keep it up. But realistically, I don't think 4 good games at the end of the year completely takes away from all the struggles he faced throughout this and last season. The free agency market is full of quality running backs this year. I think the Rams have to bring one of them running backs in to complement Akers and to make sure we have a good running game next season. I truly believe one of the biggest struggles this year for our offense outside of our offensive line was the fact that we could never establish the running game. The running game relieves pressure from Matthew Stafford. The running game keeps the opposing defense honest. It opens up the passing game. Everything on that offense starts with obviously protection, number 1, and then number 2, establishing that running game. And that's something that has to be addressed going into 2023. While Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs, who are both free agencies, would be great pickups, I think even someone like Kareem Hunt, Jamal Williams, Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary, or David Montgomery would be great to pair up with Akers and give us a wonderful 1-2 punch in the backfield. These are all free agents this year. We struggled with the running game all season long, and there's way too many quality free agent running backs this year not to grab one of them. Now, this passing game has been very poor all year long as well. And with Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson having a whopping $45.8 million cap hit next season, I can't fathom the Rams being able to add much more money to the wide receiver position. But we do have a very early 2nd round draft pick this year. 37th overall to be exact. Over the last few years, several amazing wide receivers were taken in the 2nd round. To put that into perspective, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, Michael Thomas, and Devontae Adams were all drafted in the 2nd round. Actually, Pro Football Focus's Connor McQuiston has research that suggests waiting to draft a receiver in the second round is safer than selecting a wide receiver in the first. So perhaps that's where we could get quality wide receiver help at a very low price. And obviously, guys, I think this team desperately needs an edge rusher, someone who can get pressure that's not named Aaron Donald. The Rams only finished with 38 sacks this year. That's very sad to say. And I know that's partly due to Aaron Donald missing so many games, but even when he was playing, this team failed to get consistent pressure like they did last season on their way to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we need a Von Miller type of talent, that would be nice, but that's unlikely. But what we do need is someone who can get double-digit sacks and be one-on-ones on a regular basis. We have nobody that can do that that's not named Aaron Donald. Be on the lookout for people who I think will be surprise cuts coming soon. And with Aaron Donald taking up 2 to 3 defenders each play, this shouldn't be too much to ask for. If you told me in August that the Rams season would be over by December, I would have laughed. This season didn't go the way any of us thought it would go. Yet I truly believe if we address our offensive line properly, bring in another running back, maybe draft a wide receiver, and bring in someone who can get pressure on the quarterback, and of course, we get blessed by those injury gods, we will be competing for another Super Bowl next season. It might sound like a lot, but trust me, that is not a lot at all. And please, Ramley, don't be too mad at the Rams this year. It's seasons like this that makes last season feel so damn good, and it makes that Super Bowl so much more meaningful. I try to tell you guys to enjoy it and enjoy it and enjoy it because you don't know when you're gonna feel that feeling again. Yet I truly believe we still have the roster and the personnel to compete if we just address those few minor needs. Like always, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that bell notification button so you always get notified whenever I upload a new video. And in the meantime, click right here for more Rams content.